You are a cutie. I'm currently at my parents' house. I came here because it's kind of the only place I can currently go and not have to worry about the quarantine stuff. So I'm here right now, and honestly, look at this. I miss living here so much. Oh, there's some lovely red paint on here. I'm wearing my dad's coat. I'm gonna do a live stream with Kate Kavanaugh today. She's doing like a 24-hour writing marathon thing, and I'm gonna join her at the 7 p.m. one. But I wanted to go outside because the sun is out, and the sun hasn't been out in like how many days? Like 2 or 3 days. Probably gonna go home tomorrow night because I need to take care of my cats, but I'll probably be back here at some point because staying at home by myself is just not super healthy for an extended period of time. I'm gonna just do some filming because honestly, it's just gorgeous out here. I really miss living here. I miss the country. I live in town now, even in a small town. It's just not the same as living in the country. So this is my bedroom in my parents' house. My parents just have two guest bedrooms, and this is the most comfortable of the two beds, so this is where I sleep when I stay here. But I did the live stream with Jessica Williamson and Kate Kavanaugh at 7 today. I finished about half of a chapter today, so I did some decent work. So tomorrow I will open up and we'll see what I'm gonna get done tomorrow. Good morning. So I just came back from my parents' house last night. While I was at my parents' house yesterday, I edited, I think, about a chapter and a half. I was having some bad mental health days because I live by myself, so I needed to socialize with my family because they're the only people I can currently socialize with. So I needed some socialization just to kind of boost my energy up, and I did that, and now I feel better. I'll probably go back to my parents' house in a day or two. In the time that I was at my parents' house, we watched the first and second extended edition of Lord of the Rings, and they said that they would wait until I came back to watch the third one. We are invested in this Lord of the Rings stuff. Every morning I come out here just to get some sort of morning routine. Every morning I come out here and sit and drink like coffee or something. And I do a Sudoku, maybe listen to a podcast or music or something. And then I maybe write I've got like a 500 prompts. So I'm going to feel super guilty about getting my cats off of my lap. And then I'm gonna go work on editing. All right, guys, time to get up. Gentle movements. Come on, up. Can we get up now? I don't know how to encourage you to get up. Hey, hi. story, I did close to nothing. Writing-wise today, I had zero motivation. Like, I sat down, I was working on it for a good 20 minutes, and even after the 20 minutes, I was like, nah, I don't have the focus for it, so I stopped writing. I started a cabin for NaNoWriMo stuff, so I am proud of that. I've got a couple people set up there. I'm thinking about changing my topic for April camp, because I was going to do those short stories, and now I'm not sure anymore. But I'm also, like, not sure about a lot of things right now, because my brain has kind of gotten into this, maybe I can call it like quarantine brain or something like that, where it kind of feels like reality doesn't exist and we're all just in a virtual world or something like that. That's the level of my brain right now. That I feel very separated from reality, which sucks quite a bit. I need to set up goals is what I need to do, and I just need to do them. Because I haven't been doing like house chores either, which is not a good thing, because generally I feel a little better about my life when I've done house chores. I did figure out like an insurance thing today, so that's one thing that I did. So today was off to a slow start. It is now 11 o'clock, and I've just finished my like morning routine of coffee and sitting outside. I do confess I got distracted by TikTok this morning. I swear there probably has to be an influx of people on TikTok right now because everybody's going crazy in quarantine and all of that stuff. Hello, cutie. Yes. Yes. I did not work on my short stories or my book, my novel. For my writing, I worked on a different story that I have been working on for a while. I actually wrote the beginning of it for a NaNoWriMo. I just had a thought for the beginning scene of that novel, so I decided to write it. This morning I was thinking, and I'm like, I haven't written anything, like written new product of stuff in quite a while. And if I did the fairy story project, then I would be editing essentially for it. And I'm already editing my novel, and I'm going to be editing, at this point, I know I'm going to be editing that novel into April. So I want to write. I want to create things, and I want to do something that is like creation and writing rather than editing, because I'm getting so bored with editing. Like, some days it's really nice to edit, because I like get into the groove of the story and I'm like, oh yeah, this is, and it makes me feel like nostalgic, and I realize why I really like the story. And then there are other days where I'm like slogging through the editing, and those days kind of outnumber the days of it being great, which I completely give to the editing process, rather than, well, not completely. With everything that's going on, it's just hard to stay motivated on something that I have even the smallest inkling of not wanting to do. That's one of the biggest issues with that right now. And this morning I was thinking about it, and I was like, okay, I need to write something new. I need to write and create rather than edit. And I was sitting and making a list of things that I wanted in a story, and everything I kept I kept writing things down, and all those things kept going back to the story that I wrote a scene for today. So I ended up just writing that scene, and that project might end up being my project for April. Epic lighting. I don't know. It's like a filter on Instagram or something. I have changed my NaNoWriMo camp project. I wrote a nano story, or started one anyways, and I realized afterwards that everything I wrote was just not good. It was bad. I scrapped everything. I kept it all. I put it all in a folder. But I am completely rewriting it because I realized a few things about it later. The setting of the story. Now I have a very specific setting for the story that I am going to use. And I also realized it just didn't have the right tone to it. There were certain characters that were the central focus, or a more central focus, that really should have been slightly off to the side more, and I realized things about characters and a lot of stuff. The main drive of the story is very different now, because I realized it really needed to be. And I started it in a completely different spot than I started the original. So, a little bit of backstory. The main character's mom goes missing. It's not weird that the main character's mom leaves home. She's actually gone pretty frequently, but generally it's only like 2 weeks. But this time she's gone for like a month and a half, and as a result, the main character goes to her aunt's house. And she's been there like a couple times. It's not a new thing for her. In the original story, I wrote it so that she had been with her aunt for like a year already. It didn't make sense for the story to set it so late because by then the drive of her mother missing would have been gone, and I realized a really central part of the story needed to be that the main character was looking for her mother. And I gave it a very specific setting. The setting's actually based on my hometown. I really like the feel of it, and I love the place surrounding it. There's a concept of Midwest Gothic, which I absolutely love because I love the Midwest, which is where I'm from, and I really like the idea of, I really like Gothic stuff. For example, there's a lot of inspiration for things that are in my hometown. I lived outside of town when I grew up. On the way into town, if you're driving on the road, you go onto the road that turns onto the highway, and right across from it there's this like driveway that goes into trees, and I have wondered my entire life what is down that road. So one of the houses in my story is set in down the road, and I really wanted to write about small town stuff because that's what I know, it's what I grew up with, and I really loved the town, so I wanted to kind of give an homage to that. So that's why I changed it. Excuse the hair, I just showered. Last night, I had one of those glorious epiphany nights. It was fantastic. I wanted this story to be Midwest Gothic because that's the kind of feel I've always felt with my hometown. So yesterday, I was looking through the notes on my phone and I found a file called Midwest Gothic. And I was like, okay, this is my story. I opened it up and I realized it in fact was not the story that I was working on. It was a completely different thing, but I fell in love again. I love when I fall in love with ideas again. That's just fantastic. And one of the coolest things the very first line on this note. I have no idea where I got this line from. It must have been a Pinterest page or something, but the line was, "No kings but us." And I just imagined it sprayed somewhere on a piece of wood or something like that, and it made me feel like Dead Poet Society sort of thing. I really love this idea, but it had like a whole arc, something about kids making a deal with High Fae and them believing that they are like descendants from the Fae. I really love this idea, but I don't really want to do like two ideas of Midwest Gothic sort of thing. I really wanted to integrate that idea of a secret society into the book that I was writing for on April. And I was thinking about it and I was like, I don't know if this is gonna work. These ideas are two completely different things. I looked at the ideas and I was like, okay, boil it down. What are the things that I really love about this? And then I naturally came down to basically, I love the idea of a secret society. I love the idea of kids meeting in the dark. I love the idea of the phrase, "No kings but us." That was a thought process. When I was a teenager, I felt like the world was at my feet and I was meant for something and I was destined for something. Some fantastic thing was just gonna pop up in the world and then I was going to be the main character of a story. And I loved that concept and I love the idea of the rituals and all of that stuff. So that is going to be integrated into my story and I am so excited about it. It's going to be so much fun and I am drawing so much of this from my own life experiences. None of the characters are based on anybody that I know. Maybe bits and pieces are taken from people, but when I create characters, they are like their own entities and they just kind of exist in my head. I've got a whole town rolling around in there. It's gonna be so awesome. I'm so excited about it. And I'm glad I made the decision to do this story as my next idea. I have been working on The Little Folk for almost a year now, and I'm gonna keep working on it. I still like the story, I still love the characters and the interactions, and I already have thoughts for a second book, but I need something new. I have been in the process of editing for months, and I just need to write. I miss writing and I miss creating, and I really haven't had a story lately that I've just been like, yes, this is what I need to write. But now I have that story for camp. It'll be awesome. I'm not gonna get it all done. I never have and never will write a 50,000 word draft in a month. My brain doesn't work like that. I can't focus that long. My brain runs out of the well of energy that is needed for writing. So there's that. I don't know how many times I've said I'm excited, but I am excited and I'm looking forward to this.